So good morning, everybody. My name is Bill Manziel. I am the co-chair of the committee that puts these banners up, the Randolph Hometown Heroes Banner Committee. And I'm also vice commander at the VFW Post 7333 in Randolph. And we have a wonderful relationship where we sponsor this activity because we want to recognize our military. And we want people to understand what that's all about. So what I've handed out for everybody to see is on one side is pretty much the program today. This is not necessarily the order that we will present these people, these honorees, but it gives you a picture of what we're looking at here. It starts with World War I, goes to World War II, Cuban Missile Crisis, Cold War, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, global war on terror. And with just 14 lives, we've touched the history of the United States for the last 120 years, haven't we? So that's an amazing thing. And that's what the military is all about. Is this country wouldn't exist without them, without us. And that needs to be honored and recognized, and that's why we're here today. So I'd like to introduce a couple of folks real quick. Felicia Smith, Marine John Prickus, stand up please. He's the county commissioner from Morris County. We have with us Lou Divisokia, the mayor of Randolph Township. And Randolph Township's been extremely helpful and supportive. This is obviously a Randolph Township facility, right? And they've been extremely helpful. Is Russ still here? There he is. Russ Newman and his wife. Russ has been a wonderful help. They put up these banners, and they take them down, they put them up again, they take them down, put them up again, and they've been extremely helpful. We appreciate it, Russ. Thank you so much. Okay. Ora Dunn was planning to be here, but she was called away to the funeral of Lieutenant Governor Olivia. And so she had to go to that funeral, but we'll have a reading from her. She sends her regrets and her sentiments. And what we're going to do right now is have every veteran raise his hand or her hand. Please, stand up, veterans. All the veterans in here. Please. What is your name?
My name is Isla Tatum.
We unfortunately don't have any female banners up yet, but you know, you see the back of this thing, right? It's an application for next year. Everybody see that? On the back. So we welcome your application and we welcome everybody to apply, obviously. So let us proceed with, let me introduce Angel Soto, our commander, and he is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
If you're able, please stand. We'll face the American flag behind me. All those cover, hands salute. All those uncover, hand over their heart. Hands salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order off.
Almighty God, we ask you for special blessings on the 19 military service members, as well as their families, who we honor today with Hometown Hero banners. This ceremony should also remind us that freedom does not automatically perpetuate itself, that we have to work it, nurture it, protect it, and pray for it. Freedom, like faith, needs our attention and our cooperation. Lord, be with us now to strengthen us. Comfort us, protect us, uphold us, direct us, behold us, keep us from straying, and defend us. Blessed are you forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. We're going to have some comments from our guest speakers. John Crickes, Commissioner John Crickes, Marine John Crickes, please step up.
Thank you very much, Bill. Once Marine, always Marine. It is an honor to be here this morning, and Randolph just does it right. Felicia, you and Bill and the others, VFW 7333, the Randolph mayors over the years and council, you just really support veterans, not only your observance today, but in how you do Veterans Day and Memorial Day, hosting the Vietnam Wall. I see Dr. Iacona in the back from CCM, what a great partnership there. And I just have to say, so I live in Long Valley, and when I went from being local official to getting involved in county affairs, as fate would have it, one of the first people I met was Jack Southman. And of course, I had a conversation with Jack, who I only met for the first time, some 12, 13 years ago. And I found, we all miss Jack very much, but when the bench was dedicated to him, and I heard you all who knew him so well talk about when Jack needed something done and he got a hold of someone, that was it. There was no resistance. You were had. And Jack, I'm here. There's some reason I have to be at every Randolph event, veteran event that I can be at. I think the spirit of Jack lives on. And you celebrate these holidays, but it's not just about these days. Memorial Day, Veterans Day, today honoring heroes. What do we do every day? We need to take from events like today, and what is it that we do every day to not only honor our veterans, but to help them going forward. So before I say a few words about service and those who've served, I just want to talk a little bit about what county government has done, because when Kabul fell, Afghanistan fell 2 years ago, that was obviously a stressful event, I'm sure, for those who served, especially who served in those theaters. And I was particularly struck a couple years ago reading that we lose as many veterans to suicide every year as who we lost in combat in 20 years in Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, that's unacceptable. So county government, what we did, we decided we put $150,000 towards veterans' mental health services. We've increased our veteran service officer staff. We're in the process of doubling the square footage for our veteran services. It's connected to the Morris View facility so that we can take care of our veterans better. Congresswoman Cheryl and Congressman Kane, we are supporting a bill to bring a Veterans Service Mental Health Office to Morris County that could serve all of Northwest New Jersey. And also Congresswoman Cheryl, one of the few, has obtained $5 million of tuition assistance for veterans training. One of the few county colleges in the country selected, I think 5 or 6, we are one of the few, open to all veterans to receive training at county college. So it's not just what we do on these special days, but it's what we do every day going forward. And I just have to mention, because I see we have our Buffalo soldiers here. I wanted to mention something. Earlier this year, Morris County celebrates Juneteenth. We also have Art in the Atrium, the largest African-American art show in New Jersey. And one of the things I shared with the audience in celebrating both events, Juneteenth and the art show, is that on May 1, 1865, 2-3 weeks after the Civil War had concluded, in Charleston, South Carolina, there's a place called the racetrack, which is where the plantation owners went and rode their horses around. It had a stand like you would see at racetracks. It was used as a prisoner of war camp, and 250 Union officers were buried there, had died in captivity. And thousands of African Americans on May 1, and the United States, as they called it then, the United States Colored Troop that was stationed in Charleston, came out and had what is recognized as one of the first, if not the first, Memorial Day ceremonies, honoring the deaths of those Union soldiers. And they had a parade, military parade, and afterwards they had a picnic. Sure sounds like Memorial Day, right? So, just what we honored the sacrifice of, because as we recall, the Buffalo Soldiers, from the Boston Massacre, when, African American was killed in the Boston Massacre to today, African Americans have served our country so well. So thank you for being here today. In Philadelphia, Washington Square Park, just a couple of blocks south of Independence Hall, this park is built. It's very nice today in an urban setting. During the Revolutionary War, when the British occupied Philadelphia, thousands of revolutionary soldiers died in captivity, as they did on what were called prison ships in New York Harbor. They're buried in that park, unmarked graves. Their names known but to history. And in the tribute, there's a statue of George Washington there, with a very appropriate saying. Freedom is a light for which many have died in darkness. Those Revolutionary War soldiers who gave their lives, not knowing a country would emerge, not knowing that as we approach the 250th anniversary, we will be celebrating that 250th anniversary, because there has been no country that has had more positive impact on the world than the United States of America in those 250 years. That we remember those who have served. And that's what you're doing here today, and that is why it's so important, because they gave us this gift of freedom. And we've seen over the past 16 months what's happened in Europe when we thought that land wars were over, militaries, some countries in Europe smaller countries could barely put a military band together. Well, they've all learned how important military service is. And what the United States has always stood for is that we are here to deter wars. A Roman general said in the 3rd century, if you want peace, prepare for war. And President Reagan summed that up as peace through strength. So that's what the United States is about, and all the service members are about. We're here to bring peace and freedom to the world. And that is really the message of America as we approach our 250th anniversary. So again, Randolph, VFW 7333, great job in what you are doing in remembering your hometown heroes. It's a reminder to everyone, and especially to our youth, of what it took to give us the peaceful society that we have, the freedoms we enjoy, and the prosperity we enjoy. Thank you all very much.
Mayor Lou, please step up. Nidi Sokia, say that 3 times fast.
I answer to anything, it doesn't matter. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to also introduce Councilmember Mark Bustenhauser is here this morning. And hiding in the back there, our Township Manager, Greg Poff. We are so honored to be here with you this morning, right here at Veterans Community Park. Shows a lot about a community that chooses to name its new park for those that have protected our freedom over so many years. And the rain's going to hold off, so we're going to have a beautiful day to recognize our veterans, our hometown heroes. Since 2021, visitors have enjoyed this park adorned with these banners commemorating our veterans. I've admired these banners countless times, sometimes knowing the person, sometimes not. However, I always observed the banner's height. It was not chosen arbitrarily. It was high enough that we look up to them, but not so high that we forget that many of these special people still walk amongst us. In fact, many residents have even gone as far as commented they feel a sense of security in this park when they're walking in the evening, knowing that our veterans are still here protecting them and looking after our freedom. So today, I'm proud to be here with you as we dedicate 14 new hometown heroes with banners in a very appreciative town. One of today's banners is a historic addition for Corporal Bertrand Francis Cox, born in Mount Freedom on May 9th, 1894. He was sent overseas to serve in the Great War on May 19th, 1918. Unfortunately, he was gassed at the Battle of St. Mihiel and sent to the hospital where he died February 2nd, 1919. His burial location is unknown. However, Corporal Cox is remembered on Dover's World War I Doughboy Monument. Randolph thanks Corporal Cox for his service and for his sacrifice. I also am very proud to see Peg Kenny here today. Peg, want to give a wave? Peg came all the way up from Florida to be here today for Pete Kenny's banner. Like many of you here, I attended the first Hometown Hero banner dedication a couple of years ago. Pete was here, proudly dressed up here with his VFW uniform on, and I asked Pete, curiously, where's your banner? And in true, I'll never forget his response, because it spoke to his true, humble nature and that of all veterans. There are more important people that deserve to be recognized before me. Pete, I know you're here with us today. Congratulations on your well-deserved banner. In closing, congratulations on the new Hometown Hero banners. On behalf of Randolph Township, I'd like to thank Bill Manzel, Felicia Smith, and everyone at Randolph VFW Post 7333 for their commitment to another successful Hometown Hero banner class. Thank you.
I am going to read remarks from Aura Dunn. Dear Randolph Hometown Hero honorees, first I would like to thank VFW Post 7333 and all the volunteers who contribute to this event. A community that honors its veterans is a community that honors our American values. I apologize for not being able to join you for this year's banner dedication ceremony. Today, we lay Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver to rest, and I'll be accompanying my legislative colleagues at the funeral mass to honor her life service. I can think of no greater moniker than that of Hometown Heroes. Those words say it all. Each of you has served this great country with distinction and honor. It is only fitting that the community which you have called home returns the favor with this incredible commendation. May each banner held high serve as a reminder to every passing child, visitor, and citizen that freedom requires sacrifice. And that, yes, indeed, today, heroes walk among us as neighbors and friends. I am proud of Randolph Township for remembering that the few who answered the call of duty provided the comforts for many. To the 14 servicemen honored today, and all who have served, my sincere thank you. You will never be enough. Sincerely, Aura Dunn.
Why do we have this program? Why do we have Hometown Hero banners? And some people ask me that, and in answer, I would like to point out a few things. 42% of the adults that are 75 years old or older served in the military. An amazing fact, 42%. Guess what percent that would be for 18 to 34-year-olds? 3%. 3% of today's 18 to 34-year-olds served in the military. 97% have not. They don't understand what the military is all about, what that sacrifice is all about. That's why we're doing this program, to try to reach out to those folks who don't understand. We've had 25 foreign wars since 1940. This nation has fought all over the world, over and over again for freedom. And yet, the respect for the military is at the lowest level in the last 25 years. That's because we're not doing a good job in helping people understand what it's all about. Guess how many troops are deployed in 159 countries right now? 159 countries around the world, there's only about 180 of them. Guess how many troops are deployed? Anybody have a guess? 173,000 right now. Right now, 173,000 troops deployed. Does anybody recognize that necessarily as they're going about their daily life? Very few people do, right? That's important. Guess how many troops are stationed right now in Poland with the 5th Corps Forward Command at Camp Kościuszko in Poland, a couple of hundred miles away from Moscow. Guess how many troops are stationed there right now? 10,000. 10,000 of your friends and neighbors are wearing a uniform ready to die at the command of the POTUS, whoever he may be. That's important for people to understand, but it's never discussed. Not hardly enough, is it? 10,000 of your friends and neighbors. That's why we're doing this program. So, I'm going to be speaking about 4 specifically, and then we're going to have Felicia speak, and then we're going to have Colonel Paul Monticelli speak about the others. So, with profound gratitude and humility, we dedicate these banners. The first one I'm going to talk about is Second Lieutenant Peter Brundage. He was a Marine in World War II. He was killed in action. He got a Silver Star. And he's sponsored by Alice Knoth. Alice, please say hi to everybody. Second Lieutenant Peter Brundage fought in Okinawa. Bravely, courageously, he died a young man. He was best friend of Peter Knoth. And we got Peter Knoth's banner up here also. This needs to be remembered and honored. That's why we do these banners. We have a banner we're dedicating a banner for Peter Kenny. He was with the Seabees. He fought in the Vietnam War. He got a Bronze Star in the Tet Offensive. He's sponsored by our post because he was a beloved member of our post. And we miss him. Where is the Kenny family? Please stand up for a minute. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We dedicate a banner for Anthony Monfredo. He was in the U.S. Navy 1962 to 64 in the Cuban Missile Crisis. He didn't like to talk about what he went through, but he was a wonderful comrade. And we know that he is in heaven up there with Jack Sassman right now. They'll probably be playing pool. So he was a beloved comrade of ours, so we sponsored his banner. Is anybody here from Monfredo? There you are. Thank you for coming. That's Mike. Okay. All right. Sergeant Bob Kampenhausen, where are you? Stand up. U.S. Army, Vietnam. He was an armor and weapons expert. He taught many people how to stay alive. Many people who fought in Vietnam. And Bob's banner is sponsored by his family, which he's got like what, 4 children and 5, 6 grandchildren? Are they here? And I want to mention also that we thank the sponsors, the other sponsors that participated so much, which is New Jersey Pest Control, Rosie's Trattoria, John Harrow's Jewelers, and of course our post. And we thank the support of CCM. Dr. Ayukana, please say hello to Dr. Okay, you're next.
We started here a little over 2 years ago at the very start of this program, and today I am honored to be standing here with you all to honor an additional 14 new members of our Randolph Hometown Heroes. Thank you to everyone present today that played an instrumental role in helping to put this day together. My partner and co-chair, Bill Manzel, and his post-member friends, council members, Marie Potter, who couldn't be here, and Mark Forstenhausler. I know I had initially reached out to him when I had this idea a couple of years ago, and he's been a great support throughout this whole process. Director of Parks and Rec, Russ Newman, thank you so much for putting up with us. I know a lot of the up and downs with the banners a few times a year, and I just wanted to say thank you. And I have one invited guest that I had invited here today, my friend Jan Williams of the Morris County Culture and Historic Specialist. Jan, stand. She has played a key role in providing information on one of today's historic honorees, Corporal Cox. You've been a great help, Jan. Thank you for everything you do. Our invited guests, thank you for your support of our veterans, Mayor Lou Nivescotia, County Commissioner John Krikis, CCM President Dr. Anthony Iacono. Finally, for the reason we're all gathered here today, for our honorees and their family and friends, I would like to give special acknowledgement to the honorees' family and friends who were left behind with worry and concern of your loved one's safe return. Sacrifices made. Thank you to you for your unwavering support and love. Next, to our amazing honorees, whom I say thank you for your tireless service to our country. I am proud of all of you and believe our country cannot survive without you. You have sacrificed many things in your lives to serve. Some even have made the ultimate sacrifice. This is why today we say your names, because we will never forget and you will never be forgotten for your sacrifice and commitment to our country. This is the meaning of what Randolph Hometown Hero stands for. God bless you and your families, and God bless America. Thank you. Captain Tatum, U.S. Army Persian Gulf War, 1987 to 1991. His awards have been quite a few. CIB Combat Infantry Badge, 3 Bronze Stars, Army Achievement Medal, Ranger and Parachutist badges.
You're born.
Just a little brief history. Captain Tatum graduated from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point in 1987. He was commissioned as second lieutenant in the infantry and was stationed in the 1st Armored Division in Bamberg, Germany, from 1998 to 1991. In 1990, he was employed to Saudi Arabia for Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Welcome home, Corporal Tatum, and God bless you. Next, we have Seaman Apprentice John Kaposaurus. Any family members here for John? We have his loving wife, Barbara. And you have family members with you, Barbara?
My 2 daughters, Christina and
Yes. Thank you all for being here. Seaman John Kaposaurus, U.S. Navy, Vietnam War, 1963 to 1969. Banner sponsored by his loving wife, Barbara, and family. Thank you for your service. God bless you. And I have a few awards that I want to share. Naval Good Conduct, Naval Defense Service Ribbon, Armed Forces Expeditionary. Thank you. Vietnam Campaign Ribbon and Vietnam Service Medal. Thank you for your service, John Kaposaurus, and God bless you. Next is Sergeant John Fredenberg Jr. Family members here? Sergeant Friedenberg Jr., U.S. Army, Global War on Terror, 2007 to 2008. In response to the terror attacks of 9/11, John wanted to serve our country. He was a sophomore at Randolph High School. He joined the U.S. Army Reserves in the summer of his junior year and attended basic training. Upon graduating high school, he served in the Army Reserves and deployed to Egypt for training. John requested and was granted a transfer to the active U.S. Army and attended infantry and airborne school at Fort Benning, Georgia. Upon graduating, he was stationed in Italy with the 107th Airborne Combat Brigade. In 2007, John's unit was deployed to the Paktika region of eastern Afghanistan on the border of Pakistan. He served in combat for 15 months as a rifle squad leader. Thank you for your service, Sergeant Friedenberg Jr., and God bless you. Okay, next is special for Leo Greco. Family, stand. Leo Greco, U.S. Army, Global War on Terror, 2018 to 2022. Leo graduated medical training at Fort Sam, Houston, Texas, 2019. Between March 2019 and May 2021, Leo was assigned to the 30th Medical Brigade, 421st Multifunctional Medical Battalion in Bamberg, Germany. He deployed to Turkey from June to December of 2019. From June to March of 2021, June to September of 2020, Leo worked in infectious disease clinic at the Supreme Headquarters for Allied Powers in Europe in Mons, Belgium. He worked as a member of a field aid station in Romania and Israel. June 21 to September 22, Leo was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas. He was assigned to the Leo.
It's the second battalion,
Okay.
second field artillery.
Oh my goodness, I need to go home and do my homework. Leo was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 82 Field Artillery Battalion, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division. He worked as a senior line medic for the 2nd Battalion, 82 Division, FA Bravo Battery. And he worked as a combat lifesaver course instructor for that battalion, doing field artillery and 11th Signal Brigade. Wow, amazing, Leo. Thank you so much for your service, and God bless you. Next, I have Petty Officer Ted Carmen.
He's not here.
Oh, that's right, I'm here. Petty Officer Ted Carmen, U.S. Navy for the Veteran War, 1968 to 1970. Some of his awards are National Defense Vietnam Service Medal, Combat Action Ribbon, Good Conduct Medal, Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal. Welcome home, Petty Officer Ted Carmen, and God bless you.
Presentation now by Paul Monticelli, who is a member of our post and a distinguished colonel, and who has many awards himself. So please step up.
Thank you. Before I begin, if you would allow me a personal comment. I can remember many years ago coming home from Vietnam, and my first thought was to walk up the main street of the town that I grew up in. And people would come up to me and say, "Paul, we haven't seen you, where you been?" And I would mention that I had just come back from Vietnam, and the conversation would stop. And a lot of my fellow Vietnam veterans that are here can understand this. So this is kind of cathartic for me to be able to answer that question today. If somebody said to me today, "Paul, where you been?" I'd be able to say, I was in the company of heroes, their families, and the people that love them. So thank you for that, because this is an important honor that I have to speak of some hometown heroes. The first person on my list, I'll start with the Air Force, even though I'm an Army guy, I'll start with the Air Force. Air Force guys always live better than anybody. Right? You know. Navy guys, well, I'll talk about the Navy when I get to that. Our first honoree is James F. McConnell Jr., Airman First Class, United States Army, Air Force Cold War. His service was from 1960 to 1964. His sponsor, Elizabeth McConnell, on behalf of the entire McConnell family. Jim did his basic training in Texas, was trained in flight line maintenance, and worked on K-97 refueling aircraft. He then was served with the 509th Bomb Flying Training Wing. Air Force guys always have these long names for the units there. Army guys, we basically can get the numbers out, right? He also then, he served in Peace Air Force Base in Portsmouth and had an overseas assignment at Wheelus Air Force Base in Tripoli, Libya. He has a lot of fond memories of trips up to the Canadian border with Canadian Air Force guys in Labrador, Canada, and his fondest memory is cold, colder, and coldest. See, the Air Force guys, they're not used to being cold. Flights out of the newly opened Air Force Academy was a highlight of his service, and he would enjoy flying cadets back to their own training exercises on the East Coast. His major memory revolves around the Cuban Missile Crisis. The 4 endless days and nights of flight line alert and not knowing if war was coming. How many people remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? I can remember doing exercises in school that on command we would have to get underneath our desks. I don't know what that was going to do, but that's what they made us practice. It was a pretty tense time. We really didn't know if we were going to war or not. His secret memory is swimming in the Mediterranean Sea. I did ask him if he was fully clothed at the moment. He did admit that he was. His post-discharge memories include military museums, visits, and visits to the aircraft boneyard. It's kind of interesting. People wonder where aircraft go to die. They send them to the boneyard. If you ever get a chance to visit one, it's pretty interesting. And he loves exchanging stories with his fellow Air Force retirees. You can tell he's a real Air Force veteran, not by the shirts or hats or patches that he wears, but because the wallpaper on his computer is in different aircraft all the time. So congratulations, Jim, for being a hometown hero. Our next honoree, Matt Bozick. Matt? Right here. There you go. Okay. Matt was a yeoman 3rd class, United States Navy, served in the Vietnam War from 1969 to 1973. The sponsor is Rosie's Trattoria. Real quick thing about Navy guys. Air Force guys always live better. Navy guys always ate better. Anybody disagree with that? Very true. Matt served on the USS Davidson during 3 deployments to Vietnam in 1970, 71, and 72, where the Davidson operated on the gun line off the coast of South Vietnam. 1970 is when I was in Vietnam, and you may have been firing some rounds in support of our unit, so thank you for that. The Davidson did several deployments, and so Matt, on behalf of all the Vietnam veterans who received supporting fires from the Davidson, thank you. Matt was the recipient of numerous medals and awards, including National Defense, Vietnam Service, Vietnam Campaign, Meritorious Unit Commendation, and Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal. And because they don't know about his conduct at the post, he was also given the Good Conduct Medal. Our next honoree is Edward Sotoris. Edward? Okay. Sergeant, United States Army, Persian Gulf War, sponsor, Rosie's Trattoria. Ed joined the Army after high school in 1983. He was a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne, and then he was assigned to the 3rd Armored Division from 89 to 91. Served in Desert Storm and took part in the Battle of 73 Easting. 73 Easting. I had to look that up. That is considered as the last major tank battle of the 20th century. You ever get a chance, those of you that like to look up this kind of stuff, look up the Battle of 73 Easting. And his unit took on Iraqi army forces and did a pretty good job. He did additional service in Florida and New Jersey National Guard units, rejoined the Army in 2007, and served in Afghanistan with the 101st Airborne, and in South Korea with the 2nd Infantry Division. Retired from the Army in 2015 with a total of 21 years of active and National Guard service. And he is the recipient of numerous medals and commendations for his military service. I got one more. This one I'm even more proud to do. Bill talked about how only 3% of young people today serve in the military. Well, I want you to know that Randolph has one of those as his hometown hero. Joseph Barbato, Lance Corporal, United States Marine Corps, Global War on Terror. He's sponsored by New Jersey Pest Control. Now, rather than read you a bunch of my words about Joe, I'm going to let you hear his words. These are words directly from Joe. Joe decided to join the Marine Corps because it is a calling, and only those who prove themselves during the rigorous training will earn the right to wear the uniform. In Joe's own words, Marines share an uncommon willingness to fight and win battles. Joe chose infantry to serve and defend our freedom, to continue his education, and to get worldwide life experiences. Joe speaks fondly of the opportunity he had to travel overseas and train with foreign nations to maintain worldwide relationships. And Bill talked about some of those relationships all over the world. Joe goes on to say that becoming a Marine provided him with lifelong assets such as combat skills, physical fitness, understanding teamwork, knowing how to lead, attention to detail, and something that these Marines do called amphibious warfare. How to look down on that. He also learned how to perform under pressure, and anybody in the military understands that that's something you do learn how to do. He wanted to take this opportunity to thank his family and friends for their support during the time he proudly served his country. Joe is the recipient of a number of military awards and decorations, but I think the most important thing we said today were Joe's own words. It's time for 5, Joe. That's it for my presentations, but I'm going to take an opportunity, and I hope I don't get in trouble with the boss. I'm sitting around and standing in front of a group of patriots, and it does my heart good. And you're the kind of folks that always remember. And I'd like to tell you about something that occurs every Christmas season, every holiday season. It's called Wreaths Across America. And what happens is there are a bunch of folks that started this many years ago, and they bring wreaths to all the military cemeteries, including Arlington, but also the ones in New Jersey. And people will come out, take the wreaths, and place them at this grave. And one of the things that they ask you to do, and this is what I really want to pass on to you, is to, when you place the wreath, to say the veteran's name. And I want to share with you that as long as your name is spoken, you will never be forgotten. So if you ever get a chance to get involved in something like Wreaths Across America, take advantage of it. Thank you for letting me have this honor today. I appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you very much, Paul. That was excellent. We're almost at the conclusion here. Before we have our singing of God Bless America, our wonderful Emerson. Emerson Crooks, who's been doing this for, 50 years now. I love this guy. He's a veteran's veteran. He's helped hundreds of veterans who've been in trouble. That's why we have him sing God Bless America, aside from the fact that he's a hell of a good singer. But I just want to say that please take a walk around the park today and look at the people. Say to yourself, what deeds did they do? Sorry. What deeds? God bless you, and God bless our military, past, present, and future.